somewhere in the desert of the American Southwest. The temperature on the ground is 112 degrees. Heat waves ripple off the sand like the surface of a boiling ocean. The range is cleared. Every vehicle, every observer, every camera has been pushed back behind reinforced blast barriers. 2 miles downrange, a line of decommissioned armored vehicles sits motionless in the sun. Steel, concrete, sandbag fortifications, simulated enemy positions built to withstand punishment. Then you hear it. Not a sound you recognize, not a gunshot, not an explosion, a ripping, a tearing of the atmosphere itself. A noise so fast and so violent that your brain cannot separate the individual rounds. It sounds like the sky is being unzipped. And downrange, the armored vehicles simply cease to exist. Steel plates buckle inward. Concrete walls disintegrate into powder. Sandbags vaporize into clouds of brown mist. Tracer rounds streak through the wreckage in solid lines of fire, so dense it looks like a laser cutting to the target area. The burst lasts less than 4 seconds. When the dust clears, there is nothing left. Not wreckage, not debris, nothing recognizable as the structures that stood there moments ago. The range falls silent. Behind the blast barriers, a group of defense specialists, engineers, foreign military observers, and senior officers stand motionless. No one speaks, because what they have just witnessed is not a normal weapons test. This is HMLA-169. This is the Marine Corps' most lethal light attack helicopter squadron. And the weapon system they have just demonstrated is a Gatling gun platform so devastating that even the experts who design weapons for a living have no words for what they just saw. This is the test the military never wanted you to see. To understand what happened on that range, you need to understand where the story begins. And it begins not with a weapon, but with a squadron, HMLA-169. The call sign is Vipers. Marine Light Attack Helicopter Squadron 169 is stationed at Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton, California. They are one of the most combat-experienced rotary wing units in the entire United States military. Their lineage stretches back decades through every major conflict the Marine Corps has fought in the modern era. They flew in Vietnam. They flew in the Gulf War. They flew in Iraq. They flew in Afghanistan. Deployment after deployment. Combat tour after combat tour. But HMLA 169 is not just another helicopter squadron. They are the unit the Marine Corps trusts to push the boundaries of what rotary wing close air support can do. They test tactics. They test weapons. They develop doctrine that other squadrons follow into combat. And their primary aircraft is a machine that has earned a reputation as one of the most feared attack helicopters on the planet, the AH-1Z Viper. Now, close your eyes and picture this. You're standing on a forward operating base in Helmand Province, Afghanistan. The year is 2010. Your platoon has been pinned down for 40 minutes. Taliban fighters have fortified positions in a compound 300 meters to the east. Heavy machine gun fire is chewing through the mud walls you are hiding behind. Rocket-propelled grenades are detonating close enough that the concussion is rattling your teeth. You're losing this fight, and then you hear the rotors, low, fast, coming from the south. 2 AH-1Z Vipers appear over the tree line. They are moving at over 140 knots, nose down, engine screaming. The lead aircraft banks hard. The nose drops, and from the chin turret, a 3-barrel rotary cannon opens fire. The M197 electric Gatling gun. 20-millimeter rounds begin impacting the compound at a rate that defies comprehension. Each round is a high-explosive incendiary projectile traveling at over 3,000 feet per second. The gun cycles at over 700 rounds per minute, and the pilot is holding the trigger down. The compound does not just take damage. It comes apart. Walls collapse. Firing positions disintegrate. The ground itself erupts in a continuous chain of explosions so rapid they merge into a single, unbroken roar. The Taliban fighters stop shooting. Not because they chose to stop, because they no longer exist. That is the M197 in combat. That is what HMLA 169 brings to the fight every single time they launch. But the test that left experts speechless was not about the M197 alone. It was about what comes next. The United States military has been engaged in a relentless cycle of weapons development and testing for decades. And within the world of rotary wing aviation, the push to increase lethality, accuracy, and rate of fire has never stopped. HMLA-169 has been at the center of that effort. The squadron has participated in advanced weapons integration tests that go far beyond standard qualification shoots. They have tested enhanced ammunition types, new targeting systems, upgraded fire control computers, and modified Gatling gun configurations designed to turn an already devastating weapon into something almost incomprehensible. The details of many of these tests remain classified, but what has emerged through official Marine Corps releases, defense industry reporting, and the accounts of personnel who were present paint a picture of a weapon's capability that is leapt forward in ways the public does not fully appreciate. Let me take you inside the test. The location is a restricted military range in the desert southwest. The exact coordinates are not disclosed. The range has been modified for the specific evaluation. Targets have been placed at varying distances, from close-range engagements at 500 meters to extended standoff distances beyond 2,000 meters. The targets are not simple silhouettes. They are hardened structures, reinforced vehicles, simulated command bunkers, materials designed to replicate the fortifications encountered in modern combat zones across the Middle East and the Pacific. HMLA-169 has brought two AH-1Z Vipers to the range. The aircraft have been configured with upgraded weapon systems. The specific modifications are not fully public, but observers noted differences in the chin turret assembly, the ammunition feed system, and the fire control interface in the cockpit. The first run begins at dawn. The lead Viper comes in low, 200 feet above the desert floor. Speed is 130 knots. The target is a decommissioned armored personnel carrier surrounded by concrete barriers. The pilot activates the target sight system. The gunner in the front seat locks the reticle. The Gatling gun spins up. You can hear the motor whine even from behind the blast barriers. A high-pitched electric scream that builds in frequency until it reaches a constant, teeth-rattling hum. Then the trigger is pulled. The sound hits you before your brain can process what your eyes are seeing. It is not a series of shots. It is a continuous, unified roar. A wall of sound so dense and so violent that observers later described it as physical. You do not hear this weapon. You feel it in your chest, in your skull, in the ground beneath your feet. Downrange, the armored vehicle is struck by a stream of 20mm rounds so concentrated that the impacts overlap. The steel hull does not simply puncture. It fractures. Large sections of armor peel away like paper. The concrete barriers on either side shatter into fragments that are themselves shredded by subsequent rounds before they even hit the ground. The burst lasts 3 seconds. When the gun stops and the dust begins to clear, the target area looks like it has been struck by a precision airstrike, not a helicopter gun run. An airstrike. The second run is even more devastating. This time, the Viper comes in at a higher altitude, 1,500 feet. The target is a simulated command structure, a reinforced building made of concrete block and rebar. The kind of structure that in Iraq or Syria would require a guided bomb or a missile to destroy. The Gatling gun engages from over 1,000 meters, and it tears the building apart. Not gradually, not with sustained fire over a long period. In a single concentrated burst, the rotating barrels send a torrent of high explosive rounds into the structure with such precision and density that the walls fail catastrophically. The roof collapses inward. Secondary fragmentation fills the air with a cloud of concrete dust and metal splinters that expands outward like a shockwave. The observers behind the barriers are silent. One defense analyst, a man who had spent 23 years evaluating weapons systems for the Department of Defense, later said he had never seen a rotary cannon do that to a hardened structure. He had watched GAU 8 Avenger runs from A-10 Warthogs. He had observed Naval Phalanx CIWS tests. He had seen the most powerful automatic weapons the United States military had ever built. And he said this was different, not just in raw power, in precision, in the integration of the fire control system with the airframe, in the way the weapon delivered its rounds with a concentration and accuracy that seemed to defy the physics of firing from a moving helicopter. That is what left the experts speechless. Not just the gun, The system, the aircraft, the sensors, the fire control computer, the pilot, the gunner, and the weapon, all working together as a single, unified instrument of destruction. HMLA-169 did not just fire a Gatling gun that day. They demonstrated a killing capability that represented decades of combat experience, engineering, and doctrinal evolution condensed into a 4-second trigger pull. Now here is what most people do not understand about a Gatling gun on a helicopter. It is not like a gun on the ground. On the ground, the weapon is stable. The platform does not move. The shooter controls recoil through body position and mechanical systems. On a helicopter, everything is moving. The aircraft is vibrating. The rotor wash is creating turbulence. The pilot is making constant corrections for wind, altitude, and airspeed. The target may be moving. The engagement window may last only seconds. Firing a rotary cannon accurately from a helicopter in flight is one of the most technically demanding feats in military aviation. And yet the AH-1Z Viper in the hand of HMLA-169 crews achieves accuracy rates that rival fixed-wing gun platforms. This is because the Viper's fire control system is not simply pointing the gun at a target. It is calculating ballistic solutions in real time. It accounts for aircraft speed, altitude, wind, target range, target movement, ammunition type, and barrel wear. It adjusts the gun's aim point dozens of times per second. The gunner sees a computed reticle in the helmet-mounted display that shows not where the gun is pointing, but where the rounds will impact. The result is a weapon system that can place sustained bursts of 20mm fire into a target the size of a window from over a kilometer away, while the aircraft is moving at combat speed. That is not just impressive, that is terrifying, and that is what was demonstrated at the range that day. The implications of this capability extend far beyond a single weapons test. In the Pacific Theater, where the Marine Corps is preparing for potential conflict in contested island environments, the ability to destroy hardened positions with rotary wing gun systems changes the tactical equation. It means that a pair of Vipers operating from a small amphibious ship can deliver firepower previously reserved for fixed-wing strike aircraft or naval gunfire. In the Middle East, where urban combat and fortified positions remain persistent threats, the precision of the Viper's Gatling gun system allows engagements in environments where collateral damage must be minimized. The weapon can be directed with surgical accuracy into a single room of a building without leveling the entire block. In any future conflict, the combination of speed, precision, and overwhelming firepower that HMLA-169 demonstrated on that range represents a capability that very few nations on Earth can match. And the men and women who operate these systems know it. The pilots and gunners of HMLA-169 are not simply aviators. They are weapons specialists, tactical experts, combat veterans who have refined their skills through thousands of hours of flight time and hundreds of real-world engagements. They train in conditions that replicate the worst scenarios they might face. Night operations in zero illumination, desert storms that reduce visibility to nothing, mountain terrain that forces the aircraft to the edge of its performance envelope, electronic warfare environments where their systems are jammed and degraded. They train until the process of identifying a target, computing a solution, and engaging with a Gatling gun is not a conscious decision. It is reflex. It is instinct. It is muscle memory burned into the nervous system through repetition, so intense that the line between human and machine begins to blur. And that is what makes them dangerous. Not just the weapon, not just the aircraft, the crew, the culture, the relentless, obsessive pursuit of lethality that defines HMLA-169 and the Marine Corps aviation community as a whole. Let me leave you with one final image. It is night, somewhere in the Middle East. The exact location does not matter. An HMLA-169 Viper is orbiting at low altitude over a darkened landscape. The crew is wearing night vision devices. The infrared sensors in the nose turret are painting the terrain in shades of white and black. A call comes over the radio. Troops in contact. Marines on the ground are taking fire from a fortified position. They need immediate support. The pilot banks the aircraft. The gunner acquires the target through the thermal sight. The fire control computer calculates the solution. The Gatling gun spins up. You can hear it from the ground. a distant electric whine that builds and builds until it becomes a sound that every enemy in every conflict zone has learned to fear. Then the gun fires. The night splits open. A river of tracer rounds pours from the chin turret in a solid, unbroken stream. The rounds impact a fortified position with a sound like rolling thunder compressed into 2 seconds. When the gun falls silent, so does the enemy position. The Marines on the ground resume their advance. No one on the evening news will report what just happened. No headline will mention HMLA-169. No politician will reference this engagement in a speech. But the Marines who were pinned down will remember. They will remember the sound of that Gatling gun opening up in the darkness above them. They will remember the way the enemy fire stopped instantly, completely, permanently. And they will remember the call sign, Vipers. HMLA-169 does not seek fame. They do not chase recognition. They do not need the world to know what they are capable of. The weapon they tested on that range, the system they have spent decades perfecting, exists for one purpose and one purpose only: to ensure that when Marines are in a fight, the enemy does not survive it. The experts who witnessed that test walked away in silence because they understood something that most people never will. They were not watching a weapons demonstration. They were watching the future of close air support, and it was more lethal than anything they had ever imagined. The Gatling gun has been a symbol of overwhelming firepower since the Civil War. But what HMLA-169 has done with that concept, what they have turned it into through decades of war, innovation, and sacrifice, is something entirely new. It is not just a weapon anymore. It is a promise that wherever Marines fight, the Vipers will be overhead, that the gun will spin, that the rounds will find their target, and that the enemy will learn in the last seconds of the engagement that some weapons do not just defeat you, they erase you. That is HMLA-169. That is the weapon that left the experts speechless. And somewhere tonight, a Viper crew is conducting pre-flight checks under a moonless sky, loading 20mm rounds into the feed system and preparing to launch into the darkness, ready to do it all over again.